Hi everyone. All right, tonight we are going to jump into the competition sacred strength. So let's have a little fun with this one. Um, Competition is my number 14 strength. So it's kind of in no man's land. It's definitely not something I resonate with on the sacred side, but at the same time, it's by no means a shadow strength for me either. It's just kind of in the middle of the pack. Doesn't really energize me, but at the same time, it doesn't really pull me out of my sacred strength. So it's just kind of there in the middle. Incidentally, for my wife Kim, I always try to share where she's at with the strengths as I do these videos. It's her number 27. So again, not exactly a shadow strength, but it's getting a little bit into that neighborhood. It's definitely trailing down there towards the bottom. So competition is an influencing strength, and it's all about comparison. It's everybody, all the people that have high competition, they love to draw comparisons and they love to compare themselves to the people that are around them. They need people. Remember, this is an influencing strength. Influencing strengths require other people. And so a person with high competition does have to have other people around them to use a strength. They have to have something to compare to. And so, but a person with high competition can be a relationship builder. They can be an executor. They can be a strategic thinker, or they can be an influencer. Okay. They can be any of these things, but they're going to use the competition strength based on their domain. So let me give you an example. If I were, let's say, a strategic thinker, which I'm not, but if I were a strategic thinker, how would I use competition? I would use competition to look at the other people around me who are really coming up with some cool plans, cool ideas, cool ways of doing things, who really enjoy thinking and getting into deep philosophical or deeply and intelligent discussions, and I would say, well, I can do this better than them. I'm going to figure out a way. I see what they're doing. I'm going to pay attention to what they're doing, and I'm going to figure out how to improve it. I want to be able to do what they're doing. Okay, think about an executor. How's an executor going to use the competition strength? They're going to look at a person that just makes things happen. They're getting things done. They're accomplishing goals. They're saying, oh, I did this and I did this today. And you're like, why? How does a person do so many things in a day? Well, the high competition person is going to study that person and say, you know what? I can top this. I can beat that. I can do this too. And so that's the way that's going to work. The influencer, how are they going to use the competition strength? Well, they're going to look at the people out there who are the great teachers or the people who have great influence, the leaders, the public speakers, and they're going to look and study those people and say, I see how many people they're affecting. I see how how an audience is drawn to them. I can do that too, and I can figure out a way to do it better. And then lastly, the relationship builders. How are they going to use competition? And when you think of relationship building, you almost think as well, can a relationship builder have high competition? Absolutely they can. Because what they're going to do is they're going to look at a person that's around them that just has a lot of friends, has a lot of social outlets. The kind of person that never goes to lunch alone. When you run into them in public, they're with somebody else having a good time. They're connecting with people all the time. It's all about that connection. And so the high competition person that's a relationship builder is going to look at that person and figure out, wow, I got to study this person. I got to see what they're doing because I want this. I want that feeling. I don't want to ever go to lunch alone either. I want to make sure that I have even more friends and more opportunities to connect with others. So you can see how this competition, how the competition strength works. It's a state of constant comparison. And frankly, this sounds a little bit sad, but it's a state of never being satisfied with where you currently are. You're always going to look, there's always somebody out there who's going to be doing something in a way where you feel, you know what, Right now they're better than me at this, but they're not going to be that way for long. I am going to move forward on this. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to study what they're doing, and I'm going to figure out a way to have what they have, and then even make it even bigger. Okay, so that's how this works. It's a state of constant not being satisfied with yourself, but a more positive way of saying that is it's a constant state of self-improvement. It's a constant state of personal growth. And that is very much an influencer characteristic. Remember, influencers are all about helping others move forward. So we're not necessarily trying to compete with another person just to beat them, but we're also the high competition person also loves to compete with people who like to compete. It builds. It just kind of snowballs for them. They get energized by that. I once heard, and I've heard this for years, and I can't back it up. It sounds good to me, so I'm going to use it. I once heard that if you have a gas station on a corner of an intersection, that one gas, nothing else on any of the other three corners, that gas station is going to do kind of a mediocre business. But if there's a gas station on all four corners of the intersection, then all four gas stations actually do better. And I do believe, again, I don't have data to back this up, but I've heard this many times, and I have heard it for years, and it fits my theory, so I'm going to stick with it till somebody tells me I'm wrong. But this is a great example of that influencing strength and how competition helps everyone move forward. Everyone gets stronger. You look at, if you want a basketball analogy, think of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. When they were so powerful, they despised one another. But when Larry Bird retired, or maybe it was Magic Johnson, I can't remember who it was, they thanked the other person for being such a tough adversary because he knew that made them better. That's what this competition does. It makes people stronger. It makes people better. It raises the bar for everyone. And that's a wonderful quality. All right. So let's talk about, that's the sacred side. I think covers that, the sacred side pretty well. Let's dabble a little bit here in the shadow side. And can competition go shadow? Absolutely it can. Or go sinister. I'm sorry. We're going to go sinister now. What about the competition strength can cause it to go sinister? A person with high competition, if they're going to go sinister, usually it's a result of having that high competition, but yet not having a good internal direction or knowing their area of influence really well. So if a person has high competition, but they don't know how to compete using who they are, using their strengths, using their divine natural abilities, then what's going to happen a lot of times is they're going to be tempted, rather than try to raise themselves up, they're going to try to tear the person they're competing against down. And if you think about this, I think if you think throughout your lives, I would imagine you can come up with examples of people who didn't want to see you succeed. They would rather, because they're not succeeding, they're not achieving their goals, they're not achieving their dreams, they don't really want anybody else to either. And that's a very sad state. And so this is where competition can go very sinister, because it's not only going to rob you of your joy, but if it goes really sinister, you can start robbing other people of their joy. And we don't want that to happen, of course. Then you're not moving others forward. Then you're kind of conspiring to move people backward. And that is about as sinister as we can get. Now, let's say, for example, you have very low, maybe competition is in your very bottom strengths. It is a complete shadow strength for you. Can it go sinister there as well? Yeah, it can. And so what happens there is if you're looking at someone and you're thinking, well, gosh, I see this person doing these great things and I want to be able to do that. And you start paying attention to them and you figure out, oh my goodness, they're able to do this because who they are. They're able to do this because of the strengths they have. And I can't do that because I don't have those strengths. I don't have those abilities. Or maybe I don't have that education, or I don't have that charisma, or I'm too introverted, or I'm not, who knows? We can make all sorts of excuses for ourselves. And so that's how, if we have low competition, it can even go very sinister for us in these situations as well. We have to be very careful about that comparison aspect of it. So how do we not do that? So the most and I'm giving you the obvious answer here is live in your strengths, right? So our top strengths are the best way we do everything. So if we are able to say, and say I'm a person with very low competition, and I'm looking at another person, I'm thinking, wow, they've done something amazing here. They are fantastic at this. That is so cool. Stop the comparison there, okay? Stop it there and start looking at your strengths, because your strengths are what's going to get you there. If that person couldn't have gotten there with your strengths, only you can get there with your strengths, right? So it's very important to not go down that path too far of saying, wow, they're just dynamic, they're great, they happen to have the right strengths to make this happen. It's just not the case. You're falling into a trap by doing that. You have to be able to say, wow, they used their strengths well. I need to use my strengths well. If I put my strengths to work like they put their strengths to work, then I can have this too. Then I can achieve this. All right. I think that's a pretty good description of competition. Again, it's a very I do love these strengths that I don't have very high. I love to dabble in these, and the influencing domain is definitely an area where I really enjoy learning about these strengths. And so, thank you for watching this with me today, or for watching this video today. I look forward to tomorrow. I've got a brand new strength I'm going to bring up, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, inspiration starts here.